Hi, everyone. This is Maureen Bilhakamari, and today I've decided to go live on this channel. So, if you definitely join me, make sure to say hi, comment where you're watching from. If you're a baker, do you bake for business? Is it a hobby? I'm curious. But for today, I just wanted to share with you guys exactly why I think a lot of bakers are losing money on a daily basis. They're actually not making money. And it's a very interesting thing because it's almost like a small thing people don't realize, but I feel like it's major. And so I just want to share a few tips on what it is and what to do about it. So I'll be sharing my favorite way, which is presentation style. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys in a bit so that we can get started. I'm going to get right into it. This is not going to be a very long live. But here's the one thing: importance of costing your cakes and pastries. Most people take this one thing very for granted, but you shouldn't. And a lot of people I will notice, especially when you're getting started, and I keep talking about costing, and sometimes people get annoyed, like, why is this so important? Why can't I just check somebody else's price? And why do I have to sit down and do costing, right? And so today I decided I'm not going to get technical on anything to do with the actual costing. I just want to explain why costing is important. And I'm going to share the main reasons why you should actually sit down and do your costing before you start baking for business. But if you're already baking for business and you haven't done it, I'm going to share exactly why you should really do it because it's very, very important. Before I get started, my name is Maureen Bilhakamari. I am the founder of Amari Baking Center, which is a baking business that offers baking classes, business training, and recipe books. I also have a brand called Chiffon Cakes by Amari, where we take orders for chiffon cakes only based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm also the founder of the program called Amari Baking for Profit program, which is an online mentorship that helps home bakers specifically, but also small bakery shop owners get clear on their offer, learn how to grow or start their businesses so they can actually start earning a profit. In this channel, basically what I do is I help home bakers start and grow profitable baking businesses. I motivate home bakers who want to start and grow their businesses. I help you get clear on your offer, and I help you with marketing and just how to build awareness on your baking business. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do make sure you hit the like button. And if you're not already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell if you want to get notified every time I post on this channel. Okay? And if you're on other social medias, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, please make sure you follow. On TikTok, you're going to search Baking for Profit. And on Instagram, you're going to search Baking for Profit program. And please do follow. I share, smaller snippets of information that, are bite sized on TikTok and on Instagram as well. Now, today's topic: why is costing so important? Why should you worry about it? Okay. So, number one reason why you should really worry about costing is that when you do the actual costing, you're able to know the value of your cakes and pastries, right? And people take this for granted very much. We'll be sipping on a little bit of water, guys. Knowing how much it costs to buy your ingredients, spend the time to bake the cake or the pastries, and even time to decorate that cake, and we know it takes some time to decorate the cake, is very important. The reason why I feel it's important, and I want to phrase this differently than I usually do, is that you need to know the value of your product. If you don't know the value of something, I think we all know this as a life lesson. If you don't know the value of something, you tend not to take care of it, you tend not to hold it to high regard. And I've noticed that with bakers. If you haven't done costing and pricing, when somebody tells you to reduce your price, it comes very easily to you. You'd be like, okay, I'll reduce. But if you know how much it actually costs you, not only ingredients, not just the time it takes, many other things, the skill, all these other extra things, it is very easy for you to tell somebody, you know what, I'm sorry, I cannot reduce the price. I will understand if you cannot buy. I do this so easily these days, right? And I know it has something to do with the fact that I've done my costing and pricing. And I know if I reduce the price, I won't make any money. And I am not doing a charity. This is not a charity organization. I am a baker who is trying to make money. I earn income from my bakery or from my baking activities. So there's no way I'm going to tell you, yeah, I can reduce the price just to get money from you. That's not going to help me at all. If anything, it's going to make my business worse. So one of the things that I notice with bakers is that they don't value their product because they don't know the value of the product. So please do your costing because it's going to help you know the value of your cakes or your pastries. To put this in perspective, I'm going to give you guys an example. Let's say you decide not to do costing for your cakes. You're doing a black forest like shown here. And then you decide, oh my God, I'm going to look at the supermarket. A lot of African bakers do this. I'm gonna look at the supermarket and I'm gonna see how much is their 1 kg. So if you're in Kenya, maybe you're gonna go like 1800 per kg. And then you're gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna sell to people 1800 per kg. Then along the lines, maybe you see some of my content, maybe you buy an ebook for costing and pricing, and you're like, oh, okay, let me cost my cakes. At this time, you're already selling. 4 months later, you sit down, do the costing, and you discover that it actually costs about 2,000 or 2,300 shillings to make your cake and decorate it. And now you have to sit down and ask yourself, my God, should I change my price to 2,500? What are my clients gonna say? What are they gonna say? Right? And that is the hardest thing you can do. And I sympathize with anybody who's probably gonna watch this and this is gonna happen to you. So this is why it's important to understand the value of your cake because if you've been slaving away for 4 months giving away cake, there's nothing as heartbreaking as that. So please, if you haven't started, cost and price your cake, or at least cost it and find out the value of your cake. Don't copy another baker who doesn't have the same exact expenses as you and then set that price. Please do your costing. It is very hard to tell customers, oh, we've gone from 1800 to 25. First, it's a big jump. Two, they're wondering, you haven't changed the quality of your cake, so why am I paying more for it? You're not going to tell them, oh, I didn't cost and price. That just makes you look like a bad business person. So you want to make sure that you you do that. And I want to share a very interesting story of a very big sort of decision I had to make myself a couple of years ago from doing costing of something I hadn't costed. So please stick around to the end because it's going to be interesting. Number two reason why you need to do costing. It helps you understand the cost of doing business. Now, I am talking to home bakers and small bakery shop owners who have chosen to do business because there's people who have an expensive hobby and they're very okay with that, right? So, what do I mean by this? You need to know how to cost accurately. And then, when you know how to cost accurately, you're going to learn how to price accurately. So, when you do step one, when you sit down, you figure out how am I supposed to cost as a baker? Because the way a baker costs is not the same way a supermarket's going to cost. So, when you learn how to cost accurately and price, this leads you to knowing the cost of actually doing business. What is it going to cost me to start selling these cakes to people? Because there's always a cost, guys. And when you find out that cost, you're going to add it onto your cake or the pastries that you're selling so that you can actually be able to get your money back. And that means you're doing business, right? Not funding an expensive hobby. So I'm always telling people there's a lot of people out here, they're doing expensive hobbies. And stop telling people I'm baking for business. You're not. You're just running a very expensive hobby. And if that's your goal, no problem. Then this content is not for you. But if you think that if you want to build a business that's going to help you generate income, start paying yourself, and start making profit over time, you need to listen. So you need to realize that costing and pricing accurately helps you understand the cost of actually doing business. Before I go on to the next point, I want to tell you guys if you're in Nairobi, Kenya, and you need help, because if you need help, please get help. If you really want to make or start or continue running a business and you want to make money, you need to learn how to cost and price accurately, right? It's worth it. If you don't, it's gonna save you. You're gonna make losses. This is from experience, guys. So please listen. right? Learn how to cost and price. And if you need help and you're in Nairobi, Kenya, we do have a pricing masterclass that's going to be October 15th, 2022. And it's going to be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Only 1,000 shillings. We're going to do a practical session on how to cost a 1 kg and pastries. And we're going to discover how to do the pricing for your baked goods. And I'll be discussing exactly what you need to worry about as a home baker. So please don't miss out on this. That's next week, Sunday. If you watch this after that, we'll see if we can do another one. But please make sure you attend if you really need help, right? This is going to be 1,000 shillings. If you're in Nairobi, Kenya, please book by the 13th so that you don't miss out. And I will put a link on the bottom of this video so you can see exact details on exactly how you're going to enroll for the class. But basically, you want to make the payment and then we'll send you email confirmation and we'll see you on the 15th. Please don't miss out on this. And by the way, we'll be having prices for anybody who shows up. Now, the second reason why you want to cost accurately is because it helps you understand the cost of doing business. I just mentioned that, right? Because you need to know how to cost accurately, and it leads you to knowing the cost of doing business so that you can add on those costs onto your cakes or pastries and you can actually make your money back. So, what I want to tell you guys in relation to the actual costing, realize that baking is a manufacturing business, which means that you are buying something and then you're doing something to it and you have another end product. That's why costing for a baker is different than costing for the retail person who buys something and sells it. You're buying a raw product, doing something to it, baking it, decorating it, and then selling it as a different product. So there's a specific way you want to cost that. To keep it simple, you want to look at the direct expenses. These are costs that are directly related to baking the cake, like ingredients, labor of the baker, utilities, like water, gas. Direct expenses means without these things, your cake cannot be made. Okay. Then after that, you want to go and find out the cost of the indirect expenses. This is something bakers miss most of the time. These are not directly related to baking the cake, but they're required to run your business, whether it is a home business or a bakery shop. I know a lot of bakers tend to go like, oh, but it's a home bakery. It's not running itself from zero, right? You still need money to run this thing. You need money to market the business, whether it's at home or not. You need soap and scrubbies or whatever, Scotch Brite to wash those dishes that you know are so many that you gotta, wash for your business. You need the internet so you can tell people, hey, I'm selling cakes and they're this much. We call those operational costs. And a lot of home bakers tend to miss them. You gotta put in those indirect expenses, right? The funny thing about this, when I meet home bakers, they're like, oh, but why do I need to put the cost of this? Yet, before you were baking, your electric bill was, say, 1,000 a month. You start baking because you have an electric oven and you're selling to people, and your bill goes to 3,000 a month. But you're telling me, oh, I'm just a home baker. I don't need to add these other costs. Where's 2,000 coming from? Because it's not coming from your family who's not using that electricity. It's coming from your pocket. That's why I say expensive hobby. So even if you're a home baker, you have to account for those costs and you have to make sure these cakes are paying for the extra cost of water, electricity, time that you're taking, airtime, telephone expenses that you are adding on because you're now doing business. So whether you're a home baker or you're small bakery shop owners, you got to do them, right? To grow your business out of the house or even just to maintain it in the house, you've got to put those operational costs, right? Before I share my story of how I learned the hard way, what I'm sharing, I'll share with you the number three reason why you need to learn how to cost. This one is interesting because most people, again, don't realize the importance of this. It helps you know who your target customer is. By having an idea of how much it costs to make the cake and pastry that you're making, you will then know the price range of the cake. When you know the price range of the cake, then you have an idea of who would actually be willing to pay for this particular thing and where are they based. Do they go online? Are they in a flea market? Where are they usually based? That's going to help you come up with your marketing plan. So people don't realize that by sitting down and costing, you're able to figure out, oh my God, so my cakes are kind of expensive, so not everybody's going to buy them. But if I know exactly who would buy them, I won't market to everybody else who wants cheap cakes. I'm just going to go to the specific type of person who appreciates the value of my cake and is willing to pay money for it. But because you haven't costed, you don't realize who wants your cake and you're selling it to everybody and you're having friction with specific customers. So part of costing and pricing, or at least even costing, gives you an idea of the product that you're selling and getting an idea of what kind of person can actually afford this thing. Because if you're doing cheaper things and they are very low cost, then majority of people looking for budget can actually buy them. And some people who are looking for quality will not buy them. They're too cheap. But there's people who are looking for quality products that you're selling at a low price and they are willing to pay for that quality, even if it seems very expensive to you or maybe to another person, right? So the one thing you need to know is that bakers struggle with selling their cakes and pastries because most of the time you haven't done costing and pricing, which means you don't know who needs your product or who would actually pay money for it. You also, because of not costing and pricing, don't know how to come up with a marketing strategy or plan to sell to those people who would actually buy your product for that cost. Starting the process of costing and pricing starts opening up your mind and start helping you understand your market and your product because you understand this is the thing I'm selling and this is the type of person who is willing to pay for that thing. So please sit down, do your costing and pricing because it's going to help you understand that concept, but it's also going to help you do that. Realize depending on the type of product you have, you're going to attract a different type of person, right? Like, for example, if you're selling breads, just like the regular bread sold by supermarkets or like shops, that's going to attract a specific type of person. If you're selling these cheap cupcakes that are like very low quality, that's going to attract a specific type of person. If you're doing custom cakes with that take a lot of time to decorate and are, quite expensive to make, that's going to attract a different type of person. Like the person looking for the cheap cupcakes is not the same person looking for this custom cake. So by sitting down and costing and finding that out, like this is a cost of making my cupcakes, this is a cost of doing my custom cake. Okay, not everybody's gonna buy it, but I know if I market to the right person who's looking for quality cake that looks amazing, they're gonna understand why it's 3,000 per kg or 4,500 per kg, and they're going to actually buy it. So that's the power of costing and understanding the worth of your cake and being able to sell to the right person. So I want to share an example because I like people this to hit home for people. The reason why I'm consistently preaching about costing and pricing is because I've made the mistake myself. So a couple of years, like in 2013, I opened a bakery shop. I had costed some of the products, but then I started doing a specific product. These you're seeing right here. This is literally actual pictures of the things we used to bake. These are called scones or buns, whatever you want to call them. They're yeast products. And if you're in Kenya, you know what I'm talking about. There's shopkeepers who sell these little cakes or these little buns for 5 shillings. And so I baked these, made them a little smaller than I used to make them, packed them in packaging paper of a dozen. Then I went distributing to shops and I told them, hey, I'm selling this. Would you buy it? They negotiated and told me we can buy it, but it has to be 50 shillings. Okay, that's about maybe like 50 cents in the dollar amount. So it seemed low to me, but I told myself, you know what, if I can sell a lot, I'll make it. That's okay. I just need to be selling to 10 shops or 15 shops. At one point, we were actually distributing to 10 shops, a day. We would sell 10 to 15 packets a day, which to me seemed like amazing because we were, baking them things. And so what happened is that it was like a combination of events for me to get here. So I started selling these things. They were selling, but I was still not making a lot of money. Like the money would come in and I'd feel like I don't have enough money. But then the funny thing is that one day a baker just kind of enters the shop and then tells me how she was selling cupcakes to shopkeepers. And then when she sat down and did the costing, she found out that it was actually a loss making thing and she stopped. Now we talked, she congratulated me on my shop and left. Her coming made me think like, oh my God, I've costed other things, but I haven't costed these scones. Let me go home and cost them. It took me like the whole week, but by the end of the week, I did my costing. Y'all's chest pains. I was selling these things at a loss. I was the charity organization of the year. Okay. It was ridiculous. So I remember that the shopkeepers, remember, I'm selling them at 50 bob because they tell me, like, for the 12, we're going to sell 5 shillings a piece. So it's going to be 60 shillings, which means that they make a 10 shilling profit. And at the time, I'm thinking, okay, that could work if I, mass produce. And so I'm thinking this is a great plan. When I did my costing, I haven't even put profit. I found out the cost of a dozen packet was 120 shillings. And that was like 7 years ago, y'all, like, or 10, I don't know, 9 years ago. It was 120 shillings. I was selling it for 50 shillings, which means every day, guys, every day, I was losing about 700 shillings, sometimes 1,000. Do that in 1 month, I'm losing about 17,000 shillings a month giving out this stuff. It didn't take me long. The moment I did my costing and I found out that it's that much, I literally stopped the next day. I told people, you know what? I'm sorry, I've discontinued. I've discontinued doing the scones. I'm no longer doing them. Shopkeepers are so sad. They're like, oh my God, people love your scones. And I'm like, oh, yes, they do, because they're very delicious. And I could not tell them to double the price because they never would have agreed, because I was selling to the wrong target market. So when I tell you the cost, I know the cost of not costing and pricing correctly. It is a very high cost that you do not want to pay in your business. So if you can avoid it, please, please make sure you avoid it. Okay, so that's just a real life example of something that happened to me. So don't be that person. If you haven't today, right now, please either join the practical class. It's going to be happening next week in Nairobi, Kenya. It's going to be the CBD. I will share a link to WhatsApp at the bottom of this video so you guys can reach out. But if you're not able to, if you're not going to be available, if you're not in Nairobi, Kenya, and you want to join some class that's going to teach you about costing and pricing, please consider joining our 90-day online costing and pricing class for bakers, because it covers a lot of stuff on how you're going to cost and price, and it covers 4 niche types. So it's for home bakers, custom cakes, wedding cakes. I share how to do batch products like puff base, do your cookies or something like that. And also for our small bakery shop that's using a P&L, you can even just opt to just watch 2 of them. You don't have to watch all of them, but you have access to the class for 90 days. You have the templates with the formulas in there, Excel sheets that you can just download, plug and play with your numbers, and you're good to go. So please make sure you do that. It's definitely worth it. Please don't be losing money. It's not worth it. And it takes so long to recover from that loss over time that I would generally tell you to avoid it. Okay. So I hope this video has helped you understand the 3 main reasons why you should do your costing and your pricing. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. If you have gone through costing or you've gone through something like this, do comment below. Please let me know if this session has helped you. And make sure to watch the next video that's going to be about pricing strategies to use as a baker selling cakes and pastries. I will see you guys next time. Bye.